Jeff, the host of the Gridiron.
Fourth and goal to go with the 2. 34 seconds left to go in the ball game. This is the play right now. Takes the snap. Targeted goes in. Targeted all alone. And the quarterback keeps. Wow, what a call. Nobody touched him.
Now, this is interesting, too. I did something on this, too, right? I mean, the Giants, they spent the third most. That's hard to believe, right? Third most on their offensive line in the whole league. The Panthers, I think they were number one. They were like $95 million, I think, this season on their offensive line. So spend a lot of money on your offensive line doesn't necessarily, garner wins, as we saw with the Panthers last season, as maybe we saw with the Giants, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a lot of wins. But can the Giants actually get some money's worth out of their offensive line? Now, one of the biggest things, of course, is can they stay healthy, right? Let's not forget the first 5 games or so last season, right? When it was Thomas, it was Runyan, it was Michael Schmitz, it was GVR, and it was Eluemunor, right? We had the Fab 5 there. The Giants were not bad. Not bad at all. Very respectable, shall we say, right? But the thing is that, every snap, every game that went by, they were working together as a unit. Then, of course, Andrew Thomas gets hurt. Then one wheel, boom, falls off the car, right? And then other guys get injured. And before you know it, by the end of the season, right, you go, I think, week 5. So from week 5 to 18 or whatever, those last 10, 11 games, 12 games or whatever, we had like 9 different offensive lines. Ain't nobody winning like that. Right? I'd even think I'd have a hard time thinking the Eagles. I mean, but basically, if you took our best offensive lineman, so the Eagles would either lose Lane Johnson or their other tackle. The 2 tackles are just phenomenal. So take one of those tackles, and he's gone for the rest of the season. Sorry, can't have him. And then give him just have him keep changing offensive lines every week. It's very hard to get a cohesion going. Very, very difficult, right? So that's one of the big things. Is can they stay healthy? Can Andrew Thomas stay healthy? Because, he's been missing time the last 2 seasons. Is this going to be a reoccurring thing? He's going to be able to play so many games and then, boom, he gets injured. He couldn't even make it through 1 game. Now, you got to give the guy a lot of credit. Pretty much sprinting is not, for the most part, in an offensive lineman's repertoire. But after that, the field goal got blocked against the Cowboys, and he sprinted, But, you can't. You blame him, can't blame him, but you can't run without pulling a hamstring. It's like, okay. But, is this going to be a recurring thing for Andrew Thomas? Going far. We'll have to wait and see. So, yeah. Can the Giants get their money's worth from their $69 million offensive line? Giants haven't been cheap, but is it worth it? Giants offensive line is always a topic of conversation among media and the Giants fan base. Team has seemingly been rebuilding their offensive line for the last decade. And the unit is often blamed for the team's struggles. And while things are rarely as simple as they may appear in the moment, the line has certainly contributed to the Giants' struggles over the years. Joe Schoen has certainly devoted resources to building a reliable offensive line. He spent high draft picks, right? Evan Neal, 1st round, or pick 7. Joshua Ezeudu, 3rd round. Michael Schmitz, 2nd round, as well as spending to retaining Andrew Thomas. He got brought in free agent Jon Runyan Jr., Jermaine Eluemunor, and Greg Van Roten, right? Let's not forget. Basically, he's drafted a whole offensive line, since he's been here. He drafted Neal to be 1 tackle, Bo. Now we'll have to wait and see with Bo. He was a tackle, but is he going to be forced to slip inside as a guard? We'll have to wait and see. But he drafted Michael Schmitz, center, right? He got Bo and he got Neal, the tackles. He drafted McKeithen. He drafted Ezeudu, right? So basically, he's drafted a whole offensive line. It's just that, some of the picks have really not been really worked out that well. Actually, none of them so far have worked out that well. John Michael Schmitz, he got a little bit better last year, but if you draft a center in the second round, that should be pretty good. John Michael, he might be a little light in the age, shall we say. He's got to maybe make it a little bigger, a little stronger, because sometimes he still gets maybe overpowered. Right? I mean, his football IQ and all of that and everything is there. There's no doubt about that. But he needs to, he maybe get a little stouter, stronger, right? So he doesn't get quite as pushed around as much as he has in the past. But you would certainly, I was kind of hoping for a little bit more out of him. You take a center in the second round, the guy should be pretty good, right? So, I mean, as I said, he's drafted Neal. We don't even know if the guy can even play. Ezeudu, McKeithen's not even on the team anymore. John Michael Schmitz has been a little bit of a disappointment, and then we brought in Bo. So we'll have to wait and see. But it's not like he hasn't drafted guys. He's drafted them. Oh, yeah. All told, per the 33rd team and over the cap, the Giants have the third most expensive offensive line in the NFL. Panthers are number one, $96, almost $97 million. The Chiefs at $86 million. Let's see, the Giants at 69.5, the Vikings at 69.3, and the Lions at 66.5. But the thing is, with the Lions at 66.5, is Ragnow is in there, but apparently, we'll have to see. Is he calling the Lions bluff? Because he said he's retiring. He was kind of hoping to get, I think, what I heard, some type of contract restructuring or extension or a boost in the salary or something like that. And I think they said no. So that's why he's like, oh, okay, I'm going to retire then. So we'll have to wait and see. But the Lions are fifth at $66.5 million. But Ragnow is 14.1, goes toward that cap there. So without him in there, the Lions have spent 50 something million on their offensive line. So. But anyway, the Giants are third. Nobody can say that the Giants aren't investing in their offensive line. The question is whether they're getting their money's worth. Looking at the overall performance of the unit last year, the answer would be no. But a lot of that is due with injuries, right? Giants were 26th in pass block win rate and 27th in run block win rate by the end of the season. A year ago, a significant contingent of Giants fans said that they would be happy if the team managed to field a league average offense. I'd be thrilled to death, dude. And there was an argument that they did just that. At least when their starting unit was intact, it looked like this. As I said, Thomas, Runyan, Schmitz, Van Roten, and Eluemunor. Prior to the line being ravaged by injury, the Giants' pass block win rate was 17th in the NFL to start the season and peaked at 13th by week 9. But that's when things started going crazy. They were also averaging 114 yards per game on the ground after switching from Devin Singletary to Tyrone Tracy. Not only was that a modest improvement over Saquon Barkley's 110 yards per game in 2023, but would have been good for 15th in the NFL if they had managed to sustain it for the rest of the year. In other words, they were league average, which is, I'd be fine with that. I'd be thrilled to death with that league average. By the end of the year, the line was unrecognizable. This is the unit that started week 18 against the Eagles. Jermaine Eluemunor, not at right tackle, but at left tackle. Aaron Stinney at left guard. Greg Van Roten at center. Jay Kubis at right guard. And Tyree Phillips at right tackle. Holy cow. But now the Giants look to have 4 of their 5 starters, Thomas, Runyan, Schmitz, and Eluemunor, back on the field and at their natural positions. The 5th spot is apparently up for grabs, right? You got Evan Neal, you got Ezeudu, you got Kubis, you got Marcus Bowe, you got Van Roten, and you got Aaron. Let's not forget about Aaron Stinney, too. So we'll have to see. There's going to be a nice dogfight for that right guard position. Very, very interesting. And we'll also have to wait and see who gets the right tackle. Is Eluemunor going to be there, or is Bowe going to beat him out? Be very interesting to see. The line should be far better than it was in the second half of 2024, but the question remains whether the Giants will get their money's worth. Andrew Thomas is frankly a steal at $21 million when he's healthy. He's only 26 years old and is one of the best left tackles in the NFL when healthy. Likewise, the salaries of Runyan Jr. and Eluemunor are reasonable for street free agent contracts. The big question for the unit, as always seems to be the case, is the health. What causes the guys to get injured every frickin' year? Each of the Giants' most expensive linemen are worth the money as long as they're on the field. They just need to stay there. The other aspect is young players stepping up. Can John Michael Schmitz and Evan Neal are both in the make or break it season, and the Giants very much need for them to prove the worth draft capital invested in them. Yep. So what do you think, Giants fans? Even if the Giants don't have a top 3 offensive line, will the unit prove worthy of what's been invested in it? Well, I mean, as I said, to me, the thing is that's the biggest thing. You know, is the health. Can these guys stay healthy? I mean, because it's like a domino effect, right? Because you got all of these guys, working together, and then you got one guy, and then you slip another guy in there, right? Especially like a guard, right? So now the center and the tackle got a guy right next to him. They're not sure what his strengths and weaknesses are and how and then as that's going along, it seems like somebody else gets hurt. I mean, I don't know what the answer is, but I don't know if you can ever go back over every Super Bowl winning team and find out how many offensive line combinations they've had throughout the course of the season. A Super Bowl winning team. I mean, I'd be hard pressed to think that there was actually a Super Bowl winning team that had like 10 different line, combinations. It's just very, very, very difficult. Because as we've seen, Patrick Mahomes lost 2 Super Bowls. Both those Super Bowls that he lost, he was running for his life. When he lost to the Bucs, they only scored 3 field goals. I mean, really think about that, right? Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs scored 3 field goals in a frickin' Super Bowl. Why? I think it was their 2 tackles they had were out because they were injured. He was just running for his life the whole game. I didn't see the game. Not going to see the game. Never will see the game. The Eagles won. I don't know what happened, but I heard that they had a lot of pressure on them. I said once again, never going to see the game. I will not waste 3 hours of my time watching the Eagles. Absolutely not. But I read some stuff that the Eagles had a lot of pressure on them, causing them some mistakes and all that. So it's very, very difficult to, look what the Giants did with the Super Bowl 42, right? Got the pressure on Tom Brady. I mean, they were putting up points left and right during the regular season. Giants held them to 14 points, right? All those sacks, all those hits, right? So, let's hope the Giants, if they can stay healthy, that will give us a chance. That will give us a chance.